Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer, here to give you another episode of my weekly Q&A show to talk to people's questions where I answer the series of questions that have been sent to me over the past week. I would like to say that this episode was pretty regular, nothing out of the ordinary. Before I get into you guys' questions, if you haven't already, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new, don't forget to press the subscribe button to help grow the channel, because every subscription does really count. And as for this particular video, I think I've only got like 6 questions that are all regulars. There's nothing too out of the ordinary. But before I get into the questions, I have a personal shout out I'd love to give. And this shout out actually goes to Mr. Will Williams, who I really would like to give some serious credit to, because he actually answered a number of questions in the last comment section, and he managed to answer them absolutely perfectly. And I really enjoy it when some of you guys step up for me and answer some questions that perhaps other people aren't aware of, because it kind of shows me that some of you guys have been with me for a long time and you know how I like to think and how I would like to answer. So please, if any of you guys feel that you could pull that off, by all means, I would not hold that against you, and I will even give you personal credit for that. So thanks for that, Will, and because you are so awesome, I'm actually going to answer your question first. And you did happen to mention that I might have forgotten to answer this question in the last video, so I do apologize. But you basically wanted to know, what did I do for Halloween? I didn't actually do anything for Halloween. I actually begged my boss if I could come into work, but it was pretty quiet here. But to be fair, I haven't dressed up or celebrated Halloween in maybe 17 years. I think the last time I recall I dressed up for Halloween was, I believe, 2002. And I know that because I was Jango Fett from Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. And I do believe that was the last time I dressed up. So really, that was the last year I was a kid. I just feel like I'm just too old for it, or it's just not for me anymore, and that's how it is for a lot of holidays. I mean, it's the same way with, like, St. Patrick's Day or New Year's or Thanksgiving or Christmas. It's been a long time since I've actually celebrated any of these holidays properly. I mean, even with my own birthday, I haven't even had a chance to celebrate my own birthday properly in the last 2, maybe 3 years. I think the last time I did that was when I got to see my brother the last time I was in El Paso, almost 3 years ago. And that's just how I feel about holidays in general. It's just no point in wasting time and celebrating any of them when you have no one to celebrate it with. And it's been like that for a very long time. And I wish I could change that, but heck, Vegas, which is why I want to get out of here. So that's pretty much what happened. Just nothing. But heck, who knows how 2020 will play out. Maybe things will be different. Next question comes from Zach Tarf. And you want to know, what do I think of Batman Beyond, and do I want a live-action movie? What do I think of Batman Beyond? I think it's just fine. I enjoyed I haven't read any Batman Beyond comic books, but I was a fan of the animated show, and I did enjoy it. Was a fan of the twist, though, and I even liked how it definitely connected to the Batman animated series, and it even in sub-episodes connected to the animated Justice League series, which I really thought was pretty awesome. And as for a live-action movie, I don't think we'll ever get one. I mean, as much as I would want one, I don't think it's going to happen, simply because I don't think a lot of people, the general audience just doesn't know what Batman Beyond is, and I'm not sure they would accept the concept of Terry McGinnis taking over the cow, although I had heard rumors that they wanted to get Michael Keaton back to be like an older Bruce Wayne, which I think he could easily do. That would be like perfect casting. That way you could have it kind of connect to the classic '89 Batman films as well as Batman Returns. I think that would be an excellent idea. I just don't think that in this current era, when we just had Joker, which is probably going to breach $1 billion this weekend, and they're currently getting ready to just start a new Batman franchise, I just don't think they want to try doing multiple different film Batmans at one time. I mean, I don't know, maybe in 10 or 20 years we might get one, but I think at that point, those of us who are actually most well known to Batman Beyond will probably be in our mid-30s to 40s, and at that point it'd be like, what's the point? So yeah, I'm a fan of Batman Beyond, but I don't think we'll ever get a live-action film. Next question comes from the Batman of Neo Gotham, and you want to know, what medium of movies do I enjoy more overall, animated or live-action? Well, when I look at the my personal top 10 favorite films of all time, I do happen to notice that most of them are live action, so I would have to say that live action is perhaps my preferred movie form. However, there are some really, really great animated films that I do enjoy very, very much, but I'm more of a live action person. Next question comes from Rain932, and you want to know, at what point do I think that DLC goes from acceptable to unacceptable? I think it depends on price and the amount of content. For example, if I spend $60 on a game, and you want to sell me, say, a DLC that's $20, then the amount of content in there should be at least equal to a third of the actual game. So, for like this, if I play like a game that's like, I don't know, like 20 hours, then the DLC, if you're charging $20, should be at least 7 hours long. And I've played plenty of DLCs where it was like $15 or $20, and a DLC only lasted like maybe an hour. That is when I don't think it's acceptable, and that's how I personally would rate DLCs. Like, does the amount of content worthy of the price you're asking me to pay for it? I think that's a deciding factor. And there are some DLCs that I've played that I do think are worthy of its price, and there are others that don't. So basically, just in terms of content and price, I think that is how you determine what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Like, believe it or not, the most I would pay for, like, I wish they would do this. I don't think we're going to get one at this point, but I would love a Virgil DLC for Devil May Cry 5. Why they haven't done one, I have no idea. But I would be willing to pay like up to $30 for it if you gave me at least, say, maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of content. If you gave me that, I would definitely pay that at least that much for a Virgil DLC content. But heck, that's just me. Next question comes from Goku-san, and I take it back. This is probably the weirdest question because it's like, when you think about it, it's kind of ridiculous. But Goku-san wanted to know, you guys better buckle up for this one. If Chris Redfield switched with Solid Snake, how well would Solid Snake do in Resident Evil 5? Okay, this is just hilarious. Okay, so let's set up the scenario. So a magical portal pops up and Chris gets teleported into Metal Gear and Solid Snake gets teleported into Resident Evil. Okay, so let's say it's at the beginning of Resident Evil 5. Okay, number one, the first question he would be asking is, why the hell am I in Africa? He wouldn't know what's going on. And then once he starts seeing these Granado, or I forget what they're called, they're like infected, he probably would just get the hell out of there and be like, look, this isn't what I do. He literally would just go to some BSAA agent and ask, like, can you tell me, like, which direction is out of here? And he would just leave. And then Sheva would be like, I'm kind of by myself. Chris is kind of gone, so I don't know what to do. So I just don't think Solid Snake would even participate. Resident Evil 5 is not what he does. Now, on the other hand, if Chris was suddenly sent into Shadow Moses, I think he would be pissing his pants, because he'd be looking around being like, where the heck am I? It's like, he'd run to Psycho Mantis, and Psycho Mantis would be messing with his head, and then he sees Vulcan Raven, and he's firing his minigun at him, and then he comes up against Metal Gear, and he'd be like, what the hell is this thing? And what the hell's on Metal Gear? And then he's running into cybernetic ninjas that would just cut him to pieces. Like, Chris would not do very, very well. The problem is that Snake would have the opportunity to get out of this situation. Chris wouldn't. If he's stuck in Shadow Moses or the power plant incident, or dear God, help him if he ends up in Metal Gear Solid 4. He would just be in the middle of a situation that he does not know how to react to. He can't get out because you're trapped there. So yeah, I think that the best thing that Solid Snake could do is simply to leave. But as for Chris is screwed if he gets stuck in Metal Gear. He is just screwed. And the last question of the episode comes from this guy, because I forgot to write your name down here, so I apologize, but your name is right there. And you want to know, even though you've started playing Death Stranding, do you think that it has the potential to grow as big and successful as the Metal Gear Solid franchise? No. Nope, no, I do not. I do not think Death Stranding is as commercially viable as something like Metal Gear, even though I don't think it's as appealing. I don't like. There are definitely some people that this game is clearly not for. I think Metal Gear is a much more appealing franchise than Death Stranding, and I think that with the amount of content and the amount of concepts and gameplay styles, trust me, I mean this. This game is not for everyone. There is a very, very small group of the gaming community that really understands what this game is about and can enjoy it. But there's a lot of gamers that do not have the patience, nor do they want to put in the effort to understand what this game is really all about. And then to ask people to keep going with this franchise moving forward, I really do not see this franchise, lasting for 20, almost 30 years with more than 10 installments and having a storyline that expands over 70 years and having all these unique characters and iconic moments. I don't see this franchise doing it. I think you might get maybe a trilogy of these games from Hideo Kojima, and then he would want to move on to something else. To me, Death Stranding serves as a good first game for a brand new studio, and it felt like more of a passion project for Kojima because he'd been working on Metal Gear for so long. So he wanted to test out his skills and try something that he really wanted to do that Konami would never let him do. And I think that for a first time game, I think he did a pretty good job. However, moving forward, there are a couple of things I would like him to try to do to probably make a game that is much more appealing to a wider audience, because for this particular game, it is very much for fans of Kojima. I really don't think this is a game that's going to draw people in who are not familiar with his style of storytelling, but that's just how I feel. And with that pretty much ends all the questions for this particular episode. I would like to thank the 6 of you for sending in your questions. If you guys have any more questions you would like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure to get them into me roughly before noon of Wednesday before I start filming the next episode. And like always, I'd like to give you guys a question so you can answer in the comment section below as well. And my question to you is this: now that the end of the year is pretty much almost coming to an end, and I have only a few more game reviews that I need to get out before I start doing my top 5 favorite games of 2019. I would like to know that as of right now, as of the time you're watching this video, what game have you played which you consider to be your game of the year? Please share that with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will catch you next time.